Hello and a very warm welcome to KSG News. You get all the latest updates from across the globe here to help with your exam preparations. We begin with GS Paper 2. India has opposed Japan's suggestion to include the Asean countries in the Supply Chain Resilience Initiative, which seeks to reduce dependence on China and build resilient supply chains in the Indo-Pacific region. While Japan is keen to onboard the 10-member Association of Southeast Asian Nations, or the ASEAN, officials say New Delhi wants to safeguard its interest from China's indirect influence through the bloc, as it builds on its self-reliance through reduced dependence on imports. India, Japan and Australia are members of the SCRI. Now, what does this mean and what is this all about? Launched last year, the trilateral aims to create a free and transparent trade and investment environment. In 2019, the cumulative gross domestic product of the three countries was $9.3 trillion and their merchandise goods and services trade was worth $2.7 trillion and $0.9 trillion respectively. The SCRI, first proposed by Japan, aims to reduce dependence on China amid a likelihood of returning of supply chains in the Indo-Pacific region amid the COVID-19 pandemic. It seeks to build upon the existing bilateral frameworks like the ASEAN-Japan Economic Resilience Action Plan and India-Japan Industrial Competitiveness Partnership and attract foreign direct investment in the region. The three countries are considering setting up industrial parks, a mechanism to address resolution of trade and investment barriers, a streamlined risk management system, and improved sea and air connectivity between the three nations. Moreover, at least 10 product and services categories have been identified from the perspective of the volume of trade in all categories of goods for collaboration. Shifting focus to GS Paper 1. Two new red algal seaweed species, which can be a potential raw material for those involved in jelly and ice cream production, have been discovered along India's coastline. A group of marine botanists led by Felix Bast from the Central University of Punjab in Bathinda have traced these native seaweed species along the coasts of Kanyakumari in Tamil Nadu and in Gujarat and Daman and Diu. Now, what is this all about? Both the varieties, Hypnea indica and Hypnea bullata, were discovered in Kanyakumari. The fine and hairy algae Hypnea indica was discovered in Shivrajpur and Sopnath Pathan in Gujarat, whereas Hypnea bullata grew along the coastline of Daman and Diu. All field samplings for this study, undertaken as part of SERB Core Research Grant awarded by the Department of Science and Technology, were collected in 2018. The researchers said that the seaweeds thrived on rocks that submerged during high tides and remain exposed during low tides at these locations. It is for the first time discovered these red algal species of seaweeds along Indian coasts. These species were not abundantly found but were growing in isolated patches, mainly in the intertidal regions of the sea. The region near the Pamban Bridge is an epicenter of algal diversity and needs to be further studied. Going into some background details, India has a vast coastline of over 7,500 kilometers. There is a great potential and a need for creating an ecosystem where farmers and the fishermen communities are scientifically trained in seaweed cultivation. Alongside, associated industries too need to support such efforts. Seaweed cultivation undertaken by smaller countries like Indonesia, Malaysia and Thailand, with India currently drafting its maiden policy on blue economy, proposed to improve utilization of the ocean resources in the coming decade. Updates related to JS Paper 2. President Ram Nath Kovind on the 28th of March gave his assent to a bill that accords primacy to Delhi's Lieutenant Governor over the elected government. The central government announced the presidential assent to the Government of National Capital Territory of Delhi Bill 2021 through a Gazette notification. Now, what is this all about and what is the significance of this? According to the legislation, the government in Delhi means the Lieutenant Governor and the city. Government will now have to seek the opinion of the Lieutenant Governor before taking any executive action. The Parliament passed the bill last week, Lok Sabha on the 22nd of March and Rajya Sabha on the 24th of March 2021. The centre has maintained that the bill is in line with the Supreme Court's July 2018 ruling on the ambit of powers of the Lieutenant Governor and the Delhi government after a series of run-ins between the two. The amendments would lead to transparency and clarity in governance in NCT of Delhi and enhance public accountability. The proposed bill does not curtail in any manner any of the powers enjoyed by the government of the National Capital Territory of Delhi, which are already provided in the Constitution. The bill will promote harmonious relations between the legislature and the executive and further define the responsibilities of the elected government and the LG in line with the constitutional scheme of governance of the National Capital Territory of Delhi as interpreted by the Supreme Court. The GNCD law was first brought in 1991. However, the law went to the High Court and Supreme Court benches as there were problems and ambiguity. The Delhi Assembly can make laws on all subjects in the state list and concurrent list except public order, police and land. The bill stated that the Legislative Assembly shall not make any rule to enable itself or its committees to consider the matters of the day-to-day administration of the national capital or conduct inquiries in relation to the administrative decisions. In some more updates related to GS Paper 2, the National Cyber Security Coordinator or the NCSC has finalized the criteria for identifying trusted sources and products and conveyed to the telcos and other stakeholders the process to provide information in a meeting attended by all telcos and foreign gear vendors except China's Huawei and ZTE. Under the process, vendors will have to provide information to telcos who will inform the designated authority or the NCSC about the gear and procurement. Now, what is this all about and how is this important? NCSC, India's highest cybersecurity office, shared with the stakeholders the list of products and the template of the data they will require. But the authority did not share the criteria basis which it will determine whether a source or a product is trusted and assure the companies that all information provided will be kept in strict confidence. They discussed how the authority will use the information to determine the trustworthiness of a vendor as per the process and what sort of challenges and delays could surface once this comes into force. The Department of Telecommunications or the DOT recently amended telco permits, mandating them to use network equipment only from trusted sources from the 15th of June 2020, a move widely believed to be aimed at keeping Chinese players out of the key elements of a telecom network owing to national security reasons. The details were discussed at a virtual meeting called by the NCSC and attended by telcos, chip makers, domestic and multinational vendors. The NCSC gave a presentation to all the stakeholders and shared the flow of the procurement rules and the flow. That's it in this edition of KSG News. Stay tuned for more such short, concise and informative videos to help with your exam preparations.